This is a Hot Pie Original.
And that's the thing about success. It's like the moment you feel you've succeeded, then you kind of don't have much ambition left because you're like, okay, I've been there, I've done that, right?
Right.
So they like always try to do more and get better, and there is always room for improvement. That's what makes you really like excel.
Hi, I'm Eric Corum, and this is The BluePrint. I've spent my life helping gold medalists, NFL and NCAA athletes be the best at their craft. Now I'm taking that experience and translating it into your life. This podcast is for busy professionals and household CEOs who care deeply about their family, career, and their health. There's an ocean of content to wade through, but I do the heavy lifting for you and distill cutting-edge science, leadership, and life skills into simple tactics optimized for your lifestyle and goals.
Ashmoret Mishal is an international ultramarathon champion, former coach for the Israeli military, and a published author of Ultra Success, 12 Steps to Power Performance. In this episode, we discuss why success is not the ultimate goal, the power of connecting with your why, and how she's addressing inequity in venture capital. Before we get started, please stop and take 20 seconds to follow us on whatever listening platform you're on. And please leave us a 5-star review and a comment on Apple Podcast. This will dramatically improve our ability to reach more listeners as reviews and follows impact the algorithms which run these platforms. It's time for the It's Freaking Awesome Story of the Week, brought to you by the Festive Kitchen. Every week, we highlight stories of people who went above and beyond and thought about someone else before themselves. Now that's freaking awesome. This week, we're featuring Jenny Atkins, the Cincinnati firefighter who safely retrieved a dog that was stuck behind 2 concrete walls. The dog, named Gertie, originally went missing last Tuesday, and her owner desperately searched for her for 5 days. On Sunday morning, a neighbor heard a dog barking from behind a garage wall and quickly called the Cincinnati Fire Department. When firefighters arrived, they discovered that Gertie had fallen down a crevice and became trapped between 2 concrete walls. They couldn't lift her out of the hole, so the firefighters had to break through the walls using saws and sledgehammers. Firefighter Jenny Atkins eventually broke through the wall and safely retrieved Gertie from her concrete confinement. Luckily, Gertie was not injured, but was tired and dehydrated after being stuck for 5 days. Gertie was happily reunited with her owner, and Jenny and fellow firefighters were celebrated for the rescue. Big thanks to Jenny Atkins and the Cincinnati Fire Department for doing something truly freaking awesome. But before we get to my interview with Ash, right now, I just want to ask you something. Tell me if you know this story. You go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a fancy wearable device, hoping that it will help you achieve your wellness goals, and then it ends up in your sock drawer. Sound familiar? Or how about this? You follow those cookie cutter clickbait health recommendations like walking 10,000 steps a day. Then all you get is anxious and demotivated when life gets in the way and you can't hit that magic number. It's time for an evolution of expectation and results. That's where Aim 7 comes in. Aim 7 sets busy people free to live their values every day by building lifelong healthy habits. We use the health data from your Apple Watch to create small, scientific, personalized recommendations for whatever you want to do. Sleep better, increase your energy, reduce your stress, or lose weight. If you're ready to finally unlock the power of your Apple Watch data, then go to www.aim7.com. That's AIM7.com to get early and free access to our exclusive program. Aim 7 starts small and starts with you. Your health data, your values to get to your thriving life. But now it's time to lean in and learn from the best. Well, Ash, it's great to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to talk about you. I read an article and the title was Israel's new Wonder Woman. In this article, it talks about how in 2015, you ran a 200-kilometer ultra marathon that took you almost 39 hours. And for us Americans, if you can't convert well, that's 124 miles. Like what propelled you to want to do that?
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I was never a good runner. Like I actually was struggling running, and I happened to like challenges and kind of try to become better at things that are not going so easy and well. And I started running long distances when I was 17. My mom's boyfriend is an Ironman and ultra runner, and I was so blown away by him and impressed. And I told him that my dream is to run a marathon one day, and I thought it would be like down the road when I'm like in my 30s or so. Back then I was 17, and he actually wanted to make my dream come true, and started mentoring me and took me under his wing and helped me to succeed in my first marathon when I was 19 during my military service in Israel. And that marathon really opened up my appetite to continue in competing in marathons. And eventually, after doing several marathons, I started training for an ultra. And after doing several ultras, I was like, okay, now I want to do the longest race. Just being competitive. And the longest race in Israel was really this 125-mile race that you mentioned. So I was 24 when I did that. And it was a really incredible, mind-blowing, body-blowing experience.
I watched a video, and what's scary, it starts at night.
Yeah.
And you're running on these trails with headlamps.
Yeah.
And then it gets into another night. I can't even imagine running for 24 hours.
39.
But 39, but just 24 in period. But to go through 2 nights, and you said that like when you hit the second night, like that's kind of really when it got lonely and you started feeling just talk about how you felt when you hit that second night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you are just so exhausted. All you want to do is just like go to sleep. Like just being awake, for these many hours. You just like want to get a nap, right? So yeah, just, found myself at, the most like difficult point that I've ever faced of such exhaustion. And there were so many points, along the way that I just wanted to quit and give up. And I guess what pushed me through that was really like the team behind me. So I had good friends coming and running with me along the way and kind of supporting me and cheering me up and just helping me to push through the pain and just try to remind myself all the time. I mean, like that eventually this will end, like, in like a few hours or more, this will come to an end and I'll cross the finish line. So kind of imagining myself finishing the crossing the finish line was like a big motivator. And I was like, I've trained so much for this. And I remember a dear friend back then who also trained me. His name is Kobe Oren. He's one of the most like famous ultra runners in Israel, and also he's pretty recognized worldwide as well. He told me that's the point of the ultra. Like ultra wouldn't be ultra without that point of like, wanting to give up. So that's what makes the race, so special. In this article, you said that just a few miles before finishing, like you're sitting down and crying, you're depressed. Oh, I love this phrase. All your values were out the window. So, I mean, that's a pretty low point. And what pulled you out of that to get across the line? Was it just like, I've come so far, I can't give up now? Or what was it? Yeah, I guess that's exactly the point. It's like you look back and you look at all the way that you have accomplished and you just, don't want it to go to waste, right? Because what's the point, And kind of reminded myself, like, this is why I signed up, because I wanted to face the challenge and I wanted to overcome the challenge. And yeah, I guess, it takes a lot of like stamina and endurance. And yeah, that's why it's the endurance sport. It's not just physical, it's mostly mental, really.
That's amazing for somebody to say that running 25 miles is not physical, it's mental. That's next level. And you will never find me running an ultra marathon. I hate
never
running.
Never say never.
Yeah. I want to do a 100-mile bike ride. I really like cycling. I was an American football player, so we sprint. We don't like run long distances, but I mean, that is absolutely amazing that you've done it. And then you went on to run ultras all over the world. I mean, in Colorado, in different locations. And so this, like, once you did that, is it like I can do anything?
Actually, no, I got slapped in my face when I signed up to the Colorado race, the famous Leadville race. In Born to Run, they talk about Leadville a lot. And I was like, oh, wow, it's such a famous race. I want to do it. It's like one of the hardest ones because it's in this extreme altitude and mountains, a lot of like climbing, with the mountains. And so it's like 14,000 feet elevation. And I'm based in Manhattan. Living in New York, you train in sea level and it's totally flat. So I didn't come prepared at all to the race in Colorado. So I did a 50 miler there and it was like one of the toughest things.
So you didn't like give yourself time to adjust to the altitude?
No.
Oh my goodness.
No, I just flew in and I was like, hey, let's do it. Very like naive of me. But it was difficult because if you're not adapted and to these conditions, then it's very difficult to
people get really sick. Did you get sick?
Yeah, I did get sick. And I was like, luckily it's only 50 miles. I was like, it's not 125 because there is the 100 mile.
So you finished the race.
I did I finished the 50 miler. So it's the mini, ultra. It's like mini ultra. Yeah.
Going back to the first one, how long does it take you, or period for ultra, how long does it take you to recover to where you feel like a normal human being again?
Yeah. So I guess after a few days, I feel pretty good. I mentioned to you that, so I gave birth 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And my labor was about 40 hours, right? And I was like, oh, okay, it's easier to do ultras than, being in labor for so long. And that also took me like a few days to recover from giving birth. And so I guess my body is just like recovering pretty fast, just because maybe I've been like active and been in sports my entire life. I was a gymnast and I was always like, kind of an athlete. So
wow. We're going to take a break for just a moment to talk about how you can get exclusive content designed for high performers just like you. If you're looking for information and resources to improve your health, well-being, and performance, then sign up for my free high-performance newsletter, Adaptation. Just go to www.erickorum.com and sign up now. This newsletter is my effort to bring zero-cost, high-performance resources and tools to anyone with the desire to improve. Now, we heard from a few listeners that they were unable to sign up for the newsletter, and we found a bug, but it's now been fixed. To show our appreciation for your support, when you sign up, you'll receive my free Ultimate Sleep Cheat Sheet for a good night's sleep. In this cheat sheet, you'll learn how to create the conditions for restful and fulfilling sleep and how to take the perfect nap. Now, back to the show. You are impressive for sure. Ultra marathons is not what you do for a living. You are an expert in goal setting and achievement. Is the ultra marathon stuff what got you interested in this profession, like this route? Like, what got you interested in that? Because you've done some amazing work in this area.
Oh, thank you. So I guess Ultra really was my inspiration to then develop the business, my first business, which was all about goals achievement, because I realized that in so many ways and levels, running is like a marathon is a metaphor for life, right? It's you don't achieve stuff by just, snapping your fingers. It takes time and dedication, and it's like long-term goals. So I as an ultra runner, I was thinking, okay, if I did that, how can I help others like achieve their ultra goals that are not necessarily running, but any other long-term big goals that they have. It can be like losing weight, can be like achieving business goals, career-related goals. And that's when I kind of combined my experience in my military service in Israel of coaching leadership workshops, as well as my psychology studies. And I created that program called 12 Steps to Power Performance. The first 5 steps are about management skills, how to set goals, how to create a plan, milestones. And then the last steps are more about execution and leadership. So these are, it's like very practical type of method that anyone can use and apply for their personal goals, as long as they're measurable and manageable.
Right. I saw you use the SMART method.
Yeah.
Which is really sound. Why do you see that most people, what's the commonality for why people fail at not just, maybe it's goal setting and goal achievement? Like, what are the commonalities that you see for why people are failing?
So it's a good question, because actually originally I called it 12 steps to success, but then I was like, wait, I actually don't really believe in terms of success and failure. It's really all about the journey. That's why I changed the name to 12 Steps to Power Performance, because the idea is that life is full of failures and successes, and it's a really long journey. So from maybe you learn a lot more and get much farther just because the fact you failed. That's what makes you stronger and then more achiever or high achiever. So I kind of changed my perspective on success and failure. But to your question, can you remind me?
Yeah, like what are the commonalities that you see for reasons why people, I don't want to use the word failure. Don't reach the goal that they want to reach.
Right. Don't live up to their true potential. There are many reasons, I think, but I feel like maybe motivation is probably the biggest thing, I think. I think it comes down to how motivated you are at the end of the day, how enthusiastic you are about the goals that you have. Because that passion is really what gets you to keep going and to wake up every day and feel like you have a meaning, and something greater that you want to pursue.
A lot of people call that the why.
The why. Exactly.
So how do you connect people to their why?
I guess it's something that it's really the type of deep work that anyone should do with themselves by just really asking them the question again and again. Why?
Yes.
And why? And every time you give yourself an answer, just ask again based on the answer you give yourself. Why is that my answer? And then why is that? And just like, I think it's called the 5 whys. Like by the time you get to the 5th one, you've really kind of uncovered like, why are you on an ultra marathon? I don't know, because I want to run an ultra marathon. No, why do you want to do it? Well, I want to see if I can do 150 miles. Well, why do you do that? Well, because I want to test myself. Well, why do you want to test yourself? You kind of start. I totally get that. So dig deeper and deeper. Yeah.
Because once you kind of settle into that, it's not hard to wake up in the morning and to get going. Like for me right now, as a new entrepreneur, it used to be, and I was a coach and working with Olympic athletes or sports teams. It's like, why? Like you got to win, right? Like we got to win at the end of the day. Well, winning can take on different forms. Like short-term win. I saw that you talk about like short-term goals and medium-term goals and these longer-term goals. So winning can be, what am I going to do in the next 3 months?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think milestones is milestones is step number 5 in the method I developed. And I realized that, and I did research about it, that people are less motivated to achieve their goals if they're too big or too farther away. So the idea is to take that ultra goal, that 125 miles or that losing 40 pounds, right? I gained 40 pounds when I was pregnant. I'm like, how am I going to lose all that weight now, right? It's like big number. So the idea is to take that big goal and break it down into milestones so you can digest it and you can just achieve these micro goals and start small. Yeah.
There's neuroscience research that talks about if you have a goal, you don't want to fixate on like the finality of it. Like, I want to run the 125 miles. It's like, okay, I'm going to hit 1 mile. And then I'm going to be like, okay, great job. Internally rewarding yourself is what allows you to increase dopamine levels, which then allows you to consistently pursue difficult goals.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking in the long term all the time, you don't get that. It's a neurochemical response. But if you're like, I just got to get to the next street sign, then you're like, oh, I did that. All right, next one. And that's why for me, I've learned about OKRs, or objectives and key results. And that's really helped me to like, over the next quarter, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I can feel a sense of accomplishment, because we're not going to be $1 billion company and impact hundreds of millions of lives in 1 year or 1 quarter. It's going to take 7 or 8 years, right? But that's such wise counsel. We're so grateful to the BluePrint's title sponsor, the Festive Kitchen. The zany creators of the Festive Kitchen set out to create the perfect sweet, salty, crunchy snack with just a little heat. After attempting numerous flavor combinations, they started sharing samples with family and friends who would ask, what is the name of this snack? Since there was no name, they answered, I don't know, but it's freaking awesome. Hilariously, the name stuck and a new product was born. It's a snack and it's freaking addicting, called It's Freaking Awesome. You can now order online at shop.festivekitchen.com and itsfreakingawesome.com. Trust me, this snack tastes as cool as it sounds. Brace yourself, you will be ordering frequently for your monthly freaking fix. The good news is they now have a freaking monthly subscription. Again, it's available online at shop.festivekitchen.com and itsfreakingawesome.com. That's ITSFREAKIN awesome.com. So who do you help? Like who are you helping with this process?
Yeah. So I actually brought this original like kind of consultancy, coaching business, that from Israel. I train clients such as like corporate clients, managers, executives, police forces, military. And after doing work with these types of groups, I decided that I want to focus more on business related goals and not just like personal goals. And I brought that business to New York 5 years ago. And then after I did some consultancy work to this really brilliant entrepreneur, I started a startup and was working with him to achieve his goals. But I realized that he has no access to capital and to resources. And I noticed how difficult it's going to be for an entrepreneur to succeed at his goals without access to the right resources.
Amen. Keep going. For all you VCs out there.
Yeah, which then reminded me to talk about Girls Club Capital. But
I've got it right here. It's literally one of my next questions.
Amazing. So I just was like, you know what? Let's be like practical and execute on the goals. So I started forming this group. Originally, it was a group of my friends who were investors. And I was like, hey, I'm working with this great company. You should look at this opportunity and realize how important it is to connect the dots and connect the capital to the deals. And once I realized, wow, okay, it's not just my clients, the companies who are who see a lot of value by connecting with the investors and the capital. It's also the investors who are like thanking me. Thank you so much for introducing me to this CEO and this great deal.
Deal flow.
Deal flow.
You know what's interesting about this? Here's what's super interesting to me. Okay, as somebody that's like in this right now, it's so hard to get to these folks, and I can understand because you need to have filters. Right. But at the same time, it's almost like they make it difficult for themselves because it's like, hey, why don't you go ahead and throw something in? I don't know if they read it or not. But then it's like they only want to get deal flow through the people. Calendly is a great example. Amazing founder at the time was in the wrong part of the United States in Atlanta, Georgia. Nobody would give him money. He found one person who gave him $300,000. He built the whole thing in Eastern Europe. Hasn't taken a dime of venture capital money now. And I think everybody wishes they would invest it, but he pitched, he emailed, nobody would listen to him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, how do you overcome that hurdle of connection?
Yeah, and that comes to the why, right? Because if you really want to get this company going, you don't need VCs. You just keep going, keep pushing, keep going out there and just do it on your terms. And that kind of connects to our earlier discussion. Yeah. So try to do as much as you can without these resources. But at the end of the day, try to get those. And I think the tip for, connecting with these folks is just building relationships slowly, with one person or introduces you to the other and just build these like trusted relationships with people who believe in what you do. Surround yourself by people who support you, who want you to succeed. And I think, creating that supportive ecosystem and referrals and recommendations, and that's really helpful.
I mean, if you go on LinkedIn, recently we just got acquainted with each other, and now it's like every single person I look at LinkedIn, like you are there. And the amazing thing about that is I guess you're an embodiment of this idea that I wanted to be able to create those connections, and so you just did it. Yeah. And what has that led to? Because now you're in this venture capital space. What's come out of that?
Yeah. So after working with many different clients and eventually focusing on fund managers, so what happened is I ended up, instead of sourcing deals to VCs, I started working with the venture capitalists to help them get funded, which is also interesting.
That's a whole... the funders need funding, yep.
Yes. And then from that, I decided that I also want to do some impact, some like social, to work towards like social causes, like being a female founder, a female entrepreneur. I noticed that many women don't really make it to the top at the very high and competitive levels, even though they're extremely like talented and smart. And just realize that, many women out there, they want to succeed, they want to grow, they just need a push, they just need support. You can especially see really big bias when it comes to VC funding, where women get around 2% of the VC money, which is so low. It's just
you and I talked about how despicable that is.
Yes.
Considering my mom's an entrepreneur, and like, you can't tell me that she couldn't succeed. She's never received anybody, like nobody's ever put money in. She just was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself. Yeah. But like, didn't you tell me that they outproduce their male counterparts?
Yeah. Some research shows that in the early stages, women outperform their male mates. And I guess it's because they also need to work with less, because they get less, right? So, and they need to work harder. They need to prove themselves a lot more. So many of those things, maybe make them more productive, or and they're the next thing I wanted to say is that's really made me form Girls Club Capital. So it's really supporting women-led companies get funded. And it's great. We have some really great success stories on the platform of really helping these really incredible entrepreneurs get investments from our angel investors networks.
I'm making a note now because I have somebody to recommend you to.
Okay,
I don't want to forget about this. I love that. So how did you come up with the idea for Girls Club Capital? Was it just like, I see this need that needs to be met, I'm just going to do something about it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. And about the name, actually, it's funny. Like, there was a lady from Israel. Israel is a very macho country, and she served the military. And she was like, "Oh, what's this name? Girls Club Capital. No one would take it seriously. It's offending women." And I'm like, "Well, you missed the entire point, because the entire point is you will still live in 2021 in a boys' club society,
right? A girls'
so
club.
That's why it's about to form Girls Club. And I noticed most of my clients are men. I love working with men. I think men are really great in doing business together, and they're very collaborative. And I thought, wow, women don't really have that as much. And I even found women to be more competitive with one another. I found men to be more supportive of women than women to other women.
Interesting.
So part of the thing was about to creating this supportive women's ecosystem, so they can do business with each other, help each other succeed and grow. And yeah.
I love this. I mean, I love that you're actually like, you are a person that's like, see something, just like you preach, you get a really strong why, and then you just do it. And I love that. That is really, that's really admirable. So every podcast I ask our guests what high performance means to them. Like, what does it mean to be a high performer to you?
Kind of never be satisfied, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like the moment you feel like you reached your goal, and that's the thing about success, it's like the moment you feel you succeeded, then you kind of don't have much ambition left, because you're like, okay, I've been there, I've done that, right?
Right.
So they like always try to do more and get better, and there is always room for improvement. That's what makes you really like excel. And
I love that definition, because either, if you look at people that are like in the world that I came from, sports, it was like my dad was blown away when I was when I was coaching at an elite institution. We just had a huge win. Like literally like national television audience, 85,000 people in the stands. The fans, my dad comes into my office, one of their coaches in there, and we're already moved on and talking about the next week. And he's like, I don't understand this. I'm like, well, that's what it is. Like, it's just another step. And there really is no, and that's the thing I like about business now, is there is no end zone. There is no, ticker tape. You just won the checkered flag. You keep going and keep building. And even if you get acquired, hopefully you've built something that continues to endure.
Right.
So what habits and practices have you put in place in your life to help you continue to be an elite performer, to keep performing at a high level?
I guess I'm a very curious person, and I like learning. So I love connecting with people and surrounding myself by people who I can look up to and learn from, and that they will inspire me to become a better version of myself. So
Curiosity,
yeah.
So what are you learning about now? Is there a book you're reading? Is there something you're digging into to improve yourself?
I actually, so in addition to just having a little baby girl who joined Girls Club Capital, I signed up to the executive MBA at Stern, which I'm starting this fall. So I'm going to have a lot to study.
Oh my goodness.
These next 2 years. So yeah, that's really looking forward to it. So
congratulations on that. I'm going to be calling you for some MBA advice. There'll probably be a nice little price tag associated with that. But I really appreciate you taking some time today. I mean, you coming into Austin, you're flying back out to New York, and you found some time to meet with me. This is just a pleasure, and I'm so thankful for you coming on today.
Thank you so much, Sam. It was a real honor and pleasure.
If today's podcast enriched your life in any way, please support The Blueprint by sharing this podcast with someone you think could benefit from today's conversation. Also, please consider checking out the Festive Kitchen's amazing product, It's Freaking Awesome. It makes for a fantastic gift for a colleague, friend, or loved one, or as a freaking fun snack when you want something sweet and savory to tantalize your taste buds.
Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home on the web at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.